the girls said right before the conference, Amber, I feel like you're gonna meet your future husband here. And I almost said, yeah, no, I'm not. But then the Holy Spirit checked me and was like, well, if this is from me, why would you speak against it? Right. So I just said, whatever you say, okay.
You kind of just have to like sit and be open and not let yourself go down that downward spiral of overthinking it.
So I said, do you want to dance? She told me afterwards that she was trying to say that so she can go find her friends.
To go dance.
But I just took the rein and I said, hey, you want to dance? And she said, sure. So then we started dancing, and then I think she really liked my dance moves that she said, you know what, I'm gonna stick around.
And JJ.
And we have a bonus episode today with some friends of ours who are part of the Heart of Dating community. I guess maybe you would say they graduated from the Heart of Dating community.
Well, we don't like to say graduated from singleness.
Right. They didn't graduate from singleness.
Yeah, but they moved on from singleness to the Heart of Marriage ministry to be founded by them or a couple other people.
Yeah. And it's so fun when we get to actually feature some stories of you guys and like their testimonial of singleness, meeting, now getting together. And this specific couple, we both had the chance to actually meet in person, which is so fun. And we can't say that same thing for every testimonial we get, but it's really special. And we do happen to know the couple. So can't wait. We're going to jump into their story of long distance, of what it was like for them in singleness, and then how their story of long distance dating unfolded to where they are today. And it just so happened one of the places that really kicked off some things for them was Heart of Dating Conference. And JJ, Heart of Dating Conference is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they met at Heart of Dating Conference.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to ask them if they came looking for a spouse, looking for the one, or if they came with low expectations. Either way, God used it, right?
Mm-hmm. It's so crazy because we do have our conference coming up the 14th and 15th of February, but, you know, and we have people that meet at conference, but it's not the number one thing that we push. I mean, there's so much more about conference than just meeting someone. But it does happen. So without further ado, let's introduce Amber and Ranward. What's up, you guys?
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're really excited to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you guys were grinning cheek to cheek. That you guys, first of all, have amazing smiles. I mean,
you guys kind of just look like you're supposed to be together. Like, not necessarily that you're related per se, but just you guys go together. I don't know. It just you do. Looking at their smiles, I'm like, they go together.
I would just say I've never seen a couple where both smiles were just so beautiful and like angelic. It's usually one or the other, but I mean, look, this is crazy. It's like light beaming off there.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are watching on YouTube. You can see the actual light beaming down from them.
Okay, all right.
Smiles.
Well, first off, let's just say it. Congratulations on being married. Let's go.
So crazy.
How long has it been now?
Today is
technically
tomorrow is 2 months.
Wow, guys. That's so cool.
Expect a pregnancy reveal video in 4 months from now. And
wow, pressure's on.
I'm just kidding.
Jeez. But that's a typical Christian way, is it not? That actually is kind of what happened with us. So.
Right.
Oh, guys, well, we're so happy to have you. And Randward, you're not a unfamiliar face because you spoke at our HODC Orlando. You were on our 5x7 panel. We had a 5x7 then, which is, if for those of you guys that don't know, we highlight some key people in our community. They get to come up on stage, share their testimony or a word on their heart for 7 minutes, which is a very hard thing to do because it's only 7 minutes. And Randward, you were on that panel, or you were in that 5.7, and you did such a good job. So many people were like, you need to connect with Randward because you were in the Facebook group. Like, people knew you, loved Randward. And I was like, you know, after looking into you more and more, I was like, okay, this guy's legit. We love Randward. And you just killed it. And that was how many years ago? That was like right before me and JJ got engaged, because you proposed the week before that conference.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2022. Wow. So, man. Okay, so that being said, I want to know a little bit of y'all's single journey before, you know, HODC. Where you guys met. Tell us a little bit about each of where you guys were at in singleness.
You want to start with that?
I'll start. So singleness, was a journey for me. I dated a lot of people in the past and learned a lot about myself in my journey of singleness, but right before the conference, because I had never heard of it. And
Yeah.
I followed you, Kait, from your book.
Oh my
Thank you
God.
for rejecting me.
So cool.
And it was such a good read that summer that I moved to Colorado. And so I led a small group, a women's small group, young adults, and we were meeting virtually at the time because I had just left North Carolina. A lot of the girls had moved around, and we were still meeting weekly. And one day I was scrolling on Instagram and saw an advertisement for the Heart of Dating conference. What's really cool is that the year before, so like the whole year leading up to that moment, we were reading this book, Preparing for Your Future Love Story. So the whole group was focused on, okay, we all, want to be married, but none of us had any people in line that we believed were from the Lord. And so it was a really good transformative journey as far as healing from the past, writing down our expectations and hope for our individual love stories and what the Lord had for us in a spouse, and then also preparing to be a really good spouse.
Wow.
So I saw, the advertisement, screenshotted it, sent it in the group chat to the girls, and was like, y'all, this is crazy timing because we're going to finish like a week before this conference. Do you guys want to go?
Wow.
And
Wait, that's so crazy. So you read this book, Preparing for Your Future Spouse, or something like that, and
yeah.
finished, and then went to conference, and then
Yeah.
met your future spouse. That's so crazy. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love when stories like that happen. So when you went to conference, Amber, and then we'll get to you, Randward, like, were you like, okay, this is where God's going to have it? Like, did you have an expectation?
Did
like,
you
what
just complete a book that led you right to the conference about preparing for your future spouse as well?
Absolutely not. No expectations whatsoever. In fact, one of the girls said right before the conference, Amber, I feel like you're going to meet your future husband here. And I almost said, yeah, no, I'm not. But then the Holy Spirit checked me and was like, well, if this is from me, why would you speak against it?
Right.
So I just said, whatever you say. Okay. All right, girl. So we went. I had very little expectations for meeting anyone. I just really wanted to hear the speakers, honestly, and see you guys in person. So, yeah.
And you wrote a really awesome song, by the way, that you sang. That was so cool.
I know. Can we play it real quick?
Yeah, maybe we'll, if we have your permission, Amber, can we play a little
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
it
Okay,
during
right
this
now
episode?
We're playing it.
Okay.
Wait, let me play it on my phone right now.
Well, no, Scott can insert it.
I know, but is it Meet Me in Nashville?
Nashville for New Year's.
Nashville for New
That's
Year's.
it.
All right, let's play it real
Nashville for New Year's. That's right.
All right, we're okay.
Thank you,
He's
guys.
gonna insert it, and then we're gonna dance to it.
Okay, let's do it.
It's on Spotify, right?
When you got up there to do the karaoke, I was like, oh, this isn't like a normal like karaoke kind of gal. She could actually sing. Like, this is
Well,
like
let's
legit.
talk about that story because that is so funny. Okay,
Yeah.
Amber. Here we go.
Okay, Jay just got it. You guys hear?
Did you play at your wedding?
Put it. Yeah, look at Randward. I love it.
We'll get the drop, and that's when we'll dance. I love that bridge. Hey.
Yes, so good.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you remember right before we let her go up on stage, though, to sing?
I don't. That was a little bit of a blur.
Okay.
Tell me.
Kay was like at the end of her rope by that point in conference in a good way. I was like, Kait, the girl in the beautiful, like, pink, fuzzy cowgirl outfit. She wants to sing her song that she wrote for conference.
Yes.
And Kait was like, because you have to understand, we get asked all the time by anybody and everybody to speak or talk or sing.
Oh,
and
that's
so
right.
you never know.
Yeah. And I was like, "Ooh, this could be risky, you know? Like, what if it's like not great?"
Because we didn't make her audition backstage, and so we were like, "All right, let's just send it." And so Amber got up there and just killed it.
I know. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is like legit.
Randward,
this is so
did
good."
you see her sing?
I recorded it. I was recording it.
Well,
yeah.
you were fanboying in the audience.
I was like, yeah. Because previously to her singing, we had like danced. But I didn't know anything about it. We had just danced.
Okay.
So
is that the first time you guys met at conference?
Yes.
Okay. So, but just dancing on the dance floor, like no handshake, no anything. That was just like you guys
Side
locked
hug.
Not
eyes.
exactly.
no, well, I guess we'll get to that part, but we'll talk about my singleness first, and then we'll kind of
Okay.
jump
Yeah,
into it.
Well,
let's
I'm
do that.
dying
Maybe
to
not
hear
jump
now.
ahead.
Okay. You'll walk us through
You're
it.
ready for the details.
Okay, so but your single story leading up to the conference, obviously you just completed your book study about preparing for love as well. It aligned perfectly. It was just like the perfect setup for conference. Is that right?
JJ.
Yeah, for her, well, I didn't do a book. Mine per se was, like you guys said, I was on the 5x7, talked about being single and valuable.
Yes.
So from those 3 years, I kind of started shifting into a more of working on myself. So that year, I remember I was listening to a lot of relationship things. I listened to this one episode with Brandon Lake and his wife Brittany and their story. I love their story so much that I said to God, I want a prayer of a woman just like her. So they went through something so traumatic. I don't know why I prayed for it. And I said, yeah, I want that. So I felt like God put it in the heart. Like he started molding me. So there's that. There's the whole last year, I started going to fitness because I said, you know what? If I'm gonna meet my future wife, I gotta be fit. I have to be working on myself. I gotta start being healthier. Started going back to school, so I started kind of working on myself. So
good.
I wasn't planning on going to conference, and then my manager said, hey, you have like a whole week of vacation you haven't used yet. And I said, well, what can I do? And I said, oh, well, end of the year is conference. Like, why not just go and see some old friends?
Yes.
Kind of booked my ticket for conference. I was just gonna go to surprise friends, and then the biggest thing was I said, you know what? I'm not looking for anyone. My mindset was not to meet anyone. So I had a couple rings, and I got my class ring, and I put it on my left hand because I wanted to show the females, hey, I am not available.
I am married.
So-
I'm married to Jesus. Okay.
So you came for just to listen, worship, and just chill. You were not looking to meet even guy friends. No one.
No, like it was just, I'm here for myself and to receive.
Wow.
So that's how I entered conference.
Wait, pause. Before we move forward, it is rare, unfortunately, and I saw this in my story too, for a man to just have that catalyst to just simply want to grow, to just look around and saying, hey, being passive right now, just chilling and having fun is not what I want. Were you always this kind of way of just, growth oriented and humble in that sense? Or was there something that kind of sparked that, sense of, I really want to grow. I want to heal. I want to do all these things because it's just uncommon to hear from a man.
Yeah, so I would say early on in my life, I was much more passive. Like there was the extrovert in me and being outgoing and whatnot, but all of that did not change until I really got to know Jesus. So once I got to know Jesus and see my identity through Christ is kind of when my whole life switched. It was like a switch. Like people around me were like, you were not this same person before. And it was just because of Jesus. So I feel like when people start leaning more into their identity and being confident in who they are, they can start just making all these strides. And that's why I was like, every single conference I've gone to, I've gone by myself. Like I don't, even though my friends call me out and it's like, hey, why don't you invite me? And it's kind of like, hey, I'm going for myself. And it's probably better if, you kind of involve other men and you involve other peers, and it's like, hey, these are great experiences for growth. Like, you never know what you're walking into, and you can always leave with something. So I think once I started leaning into who I was in Jesus, that's what really got the spark going for me.
What I love about that too, sorry babe, is
yeah.
it's just what I'm hearing when you say that, Randward, is like, it's not about being cool at all. It's like, you know, a lot of guys, I feel like they're like, ooh, what are my bros going to think of me if I like go to something like this, you know, in a Heart of Dating conference, like they're going to make fun of me, you know, and you're just like, I don't care. I don't care about being cool. I'm here to grow. I'm here to learn. I'm here to see what God has for me. And there's just something so pure and amazing about that, about leaning into identity and like literally taking that cool factor out of it and worrying about what the other bros around you think.
I do agree, but it sounds like for you, Randward, it was just an authentic experience of Jesus left you hungry and humble for just more. Like wherever you could get it, you're just like this insatiable hunger to grow for more.
That is correct. Yeah, I feel like I don't like to be within a single box. I like to just branch out as much as possible. I think the world has so much to offer. And going to conferences like these are phenomenal. You never know who you can meet. It's not just about finding a spouse. You can meet other brothers. You can meet so many people that can add value to your life. So I think once I started realizing that, like, Amber can put into me, JJ puts into me, Kait puts into me, it's kind of like, why be stuck with your same circle as always?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I love going to these conferences. You meet new people. You get to know their stories. I love listening to people's stories. Once you can sit down and kind of listen to other people, listen to bros. I've gone to conferences where I've confessed with other brothers, and it's like, hey, you're going to be the first person I ever confide in and tell me stuff. And I was like, wow. So once you kind of go out there and start doing the X factor, you start kind of helping to be more of that light and salt we need to be on this earth to help other people.
So cool.
Dang, man. You're getting me fired up. I love it. Okay, well, speaking of great stories, so set the stage for me. Tell me about the first time you guys locked eyes, flirted, danced, like just really set the scene for me.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want it? Do you want it?
I can give you a little bit of my perspective, kind of leading up to it.
Yes.
So coming into Tennessee, you know, it's a cowboy country. All you know is cowboy hats. One thing I didn't know is I wanted a cowboy hat. And we knew it was a disco cowboy theme party.
Yes.
I went through all the downtown looking for a hat, and I finally found a kind of like a discount store. And in that discount store, it was like 30% off. And I said, this is a phenomenal deal. And then I found this hat, and then I was trying on hats, and there was one that had sequins. It was sparkly. I said, this is perfect for a disco party. But I put it on. I took it off. I put it on again. And this older lady was like, that hat looks really good on you. You're going to find someone with that hat. And I said, you know what? I'm sold. So I bought the hat. The whole situation with the ring at lunch, one of the gentlemen is like, well, hey, why do you have the ring on your left hand? I was like, oh, you know, I want to tell females I'm not available and whatnot. And he says, how about you actually use your words instead of trying to portray that you're not available? And I said, wow.
Who said that?
Just another guy from conference?
I don't remember. It was another guy that went to the conference. So you see what I meant by meeting other men out here? It's kind of like they help you grow.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. It's like John or something. It started with someone with a J. He knows once he sees my face, he'll probably see. He'll know who it is.
He'll comment.
So yeah,
on
he
YouTube
told me, yeah, why don't you take it off and just kind of like, you know, speak and whatnot. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me just use my words. Like I'm mature enough to do that and not be stubborn. Because a lot of men like to be stubborn. They think they know it all. But I think it's better to be humble and kind of just like, you know what? Let me take this word of advice. So I have my hat. No longer wearing the ring. So I tell people that this is kind of like God's, like, now I'm being obedient. But because I'm being obedient, now he can put me in the situation. So now that I'm kind of like, no ring, I got my hat, let's go to the party. And I think this is right after line dancing. No, after karaoke. It was line dancing, karaoke. I was singing my heart out. I said, Lord, this is New Year's Eve. Why can't I have my Gabriella like Troy that had that High School Musical that, you know, they just put them together and they sang.
Whoa,
that's so
wait,
funny.
hold
The
on,
High School
hold on.
Musical
I'm
moment.
confused. I thought you wanted to come and meet nobody. So something happened and your kind of heart posture with the ring, the hat. What happened?
Yeah. So I didn't want to meet nobody. But as conference kind of going on, and I think also it was Jamal. Was it Jamal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamal,
Natasha.
And
Natasha.
Natasha, their story about how like not getting like discounted, I believe, or like disqualified because he felt like the whole height thing. He's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to, and stuff like that. So their testimony really like, you know, I was like, man, well, how am I discounting myself from a blessing as well in this? So like, there's like, I really love that talk they had. So
Yeah, so good.
it wasn't enough to take off the ring though, but I did listen. I was like, man, this is good. So Lord started working. And then once lunch came around or dinner, and then the guy was like, hey, you should. And I was like, you know, kind of just thinking back on everything in HOD, I said, you know what? Maybe I should just be obedient and
And put
things.
yourself
So,
out there. Yeah.
exactly. So I put myself out there. So yeah, after karaoke, I had the thought, you know, well, yeah, if only. I wanted to sign myself up. The list was long. But I said, maybe Lord, today's not the day. I'm not going to find the Gabriella. So there was no more waters. Luckily, a friend had told me about where the water fountain was. So I said, okay, cool. I'm going to go get water. And I'm walking to the water fountain. And a young lady said, hey, I like your hat. You want to take over from there?
Yeah, so the hat. Okay, so a little bit before that, there was this very nice gentleman that wasn't really getting like the hint that I wasn't like too interested, and so me and my friend, my best friend Jada was with me. I said, "Girl, let's just go to the bathroom," because like I tried to go get water. He's like, "Oh, let me go get water with you," and I was gonna dance. "Oh, let me dance with you." I was like, "Oh my gosh, let's just go to the bathroom." He can't go to the bathroom. So we go to the bathroom. We're in there for a few minutes, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's, you know, clear out. I go out, and then I'm with Jada, and I said, oh, let me go tell that guy I like his hat. Like, it's completely, I love sparkles, I love glitter, anything sparkly. It was so cute. So I walked over in passing, and I'm like, hey, I like your hat. And he's like, oh, thanks, and starts a whole conversation.
But
I
that's
was just saying,
but you weren't even looking for that. You were just trying to drop.
No, I just liked his hat. I was moving on with my life.
Yeah. And then Randward was like, the door's open. This beautiful
Yeah,
girl just
so-
complimented my hat.
Exactly. So the door was open for me. You know, man, we don't get much compliments. So I said, wow, this is perfect.
This is crazy what this feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I felt so empowered. I just kind of introduced myself. I asked her for her name, and I talked her ear off for the next 5 minutes.
Look at her face.
I was so overstimulated because the lights were flashing,
Yes.
the music was loud. I could barely like understand what he was saying. I'm trying to read his lips, and he's just talking so much. I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. He started talking about like his nicknames in high school, and then asked me if I had
he
any
was
nicknames. I'm
nervous.
like, no.
Yeah. Were you nervous, Randward, when you were talking?
I wasn't. No,
Okay.
I've been interacting with people, so I was just on
You're ready
an
to
all-time
go.
high.
Okay, so I'm loving this because in Randward, if this is like a movie, Randward, like your POV, there's hearts and stars, like it's slow motion. She's like laughing and her hair's like tossing, and then Amber, yours is like overload, too much stimulation, like you can't hear a
You're just,
thing. It's like
I've actually been in
blasting.
this situation. You're just like nodding, like smiling. You're like, yeah, oh yeah. And in your mind, you're like, I mean, he's cute, but I don't really know what he's saying. There's a lot going on. Like, I'm overstimulated. Like, I don't really know what to do with this
And
moment.
so usually it doesn't really work well from this point. So what happened?
Yeah.
We got shout out to DJ. I don't know what his name is.
Rome, DJ Rome.
Rome, yes. But, so DJ Rome, he put on a song, and then she goes, "I love this song," and I said, "Wow, this the Lord is opening doors." So I said, "Do you want to dance?" She told me afterwards that she was trying to say that so she can go find her friends
To go dance.
to go dance.
Uh,
But I just took the rein. I said, "Hey, you want to dance?" And she said, "Sure." So then we started dancing, and then I think she really liked my dance moves. That she said, "You know what? I'm gonna stick around."
Whoa, and so Amber, you say like, sure, like I just dodged another guy. Now I'm getting asked out to.
Now this guy's
He
following me on
was
the dance
cute.
floor.
I do like his hat. But now you're following this guy on the dance floor, and you're just
Yeah.
like, whatever, or what's going on?
Well, while I was very overstimulated in his rambling, which he admits he was rambling, I was like feeling his presence, and he was very genuine and seemed very
Yeah.
authentic. And so I didn't mind being in his presence. I think I even enjoyed it a little bit. And so when he asked me to dance, I was like caught off guard. Like, wow, okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
We danced a while, and I went to go get my phone because I wanted to get a picture or video with him. Didn't even get his name. It was hard enough for me to understand what he was saying. And so I was just like, oh, let me go get my phone. I'll be right back. And then when I came back, he was still there. So I was like, okay, that's a good sign.
He didn't just
Took a
rush
couple
off.
video. Sorry, what was that?
He didn't just rush off the dance floor like, yeah.
Exactly.
He didn't get to the bathroom to lose you. So
It could have gone so many ways. I took a video of us dancing, and then they put on, I think, some slow music, and the vibe was kind of killed, and we went our separate ways. Didn't get his name, he didn't get my number, anything. Like, I thought that was the end of it there.
dang. I didn't know this.
Yeah. Went to go find my friends, and then the whole Nashville for New Year's thing
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, it was just so much going on. I was so excited from singing, and then afterwards, after I got to speak with you guys, I was thinking, man, he didn't come up or anything. Like, maybe he's gone.
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
you didn't like your
well.
singing,
I said, well, if the Lord wanted it to happen, it would have happened. So it's fine. I was a little disappointed that, we didn't get to connect again, but it was fine. Everyone had cleared out in the conference center, so we went out to the parking lot.
Dang.
My
love
friend
was-
Jada and I.
Did you feel like love was lost? Like like you had your shot, it was gone, never to
He
be
didn't
seen
ask.
again.
I wasn't going to ask for his
Yeah,
number.
totally, of course not. No. And Amber, Randward, did you feel the same way? Like you're like, what's going on? You saw her on stage. Did that scare you off? Were you like, this girl's way too cool for me. I had no idea what I was messing with.
All right, so after we finished dancing, slow dance, whatever, then they played more music. Then they started doing the tunnel,
The train.
the train,
yeah,
the
yeah,
soul
yeah.
train,
Soul Train.
soul train. And then she was dancing through there. I was still recording her. I was recording her, and I was texting my friends. I was like, guys, you see this girl in pink? I just danced with her. Can you believe this? So I was super excited. I was like, I can't wait to meet her after the conference and whatnot. And then when she sang, I said, now the spotlight is on her, and every man knows who she is. I lost my diamond in the rust. I was so annoyed. I was like, why did she have to get on stage? Now all these guys are going to know who she is. They're going to start approaching. So I don't like to go where the spotlight is. So I said, well, there goes my opportunity.
Dang,
I did look
you
for her
psyched
after she sang.
But you psyched yourself out.
This is actually going to get really good. So I looked around. I couldn't find her. I kind of waited a bit, but then they were like, hey, everyone needs to kind of like leave. We're trying to clean up and stuff. So I was like, so I went outside, all sad, down. One of the guys I had met at a conference looked super familiar to me, and I was talking to him, and I was like, did you see that girl on stage? He's like, yeah. I was like, I was dancing with her like before everyone knew who she was.
You're going to tell
And
your
I was
future
like-
kids about this woman that you dance with.
Yeah. So I was telling him, I was like, hey, I don't even know. All I have is her name. And then they were like, well, you do realize we have the Wolva app, and she should have registered. And I was like, you're correct. Oh my gosh. So then I'm on the Wova app and I'm like trying to search her. And then he just goes, oh, here comes your girl. And I was like, oh, what? And then it's her kind of coming up to me to say hi.
You're like trying to find her.
Yeah, find her. I had to put away my phone real quick so she wouldn't know. And then kind of funny teaser moment. So just talking about meeting other men's conference. So it finally clicked to me when I got home. The guy I was talking to, I actually met him at the Awaken conference 2 years prior.
Wow.
And I had told him about HOD.
No way.
Yeah, so it was just like a full circle for me that
Wow.
2 years ago at another conference, I was telling him, I was like, hey, I go to this one conference called HOD. There's amazing people and stuff. And then just to know 2 years later, I meet him at an HOD conference.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
Oh my
wild.
God.
Okay, so then what happens?
I think I could pick it up.
Yeah, you can pick
Because
it up.
I came outside after walking out and I was like, man, parking lot's going to be empty. He's gone, whatever. Comforting myself, you know, if the Lord wanted it, it would have happened. So to my surprise, the parking lot was full of people when we opened the doors. And I scanned really fast and saw the sparkly cowboy hat. And I like pushed through the crowd. And I'm like, hey. And then we started talking.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you can pick it up then.
So yeah, we started talking. I was like, hey, I saw you. I was like, why didn't you tell me you were a singer? That's amazing, and all that. And you guys already know. People are still coming up to her. Oh my gosh, you do music. I do music. So that our moment is getting cut. I'm like, oh my God, you see, this is the whole spotlight thing I was talking about. Everyone's coming to her now. So I overheard. There's like, oh, what's your Instagram? And then someone's like, oh, Amber Roper music. And then I was like, well, I'm just gonna pull out my phone and
You're like,
grab
I'm
her
never
Instagram.
forgetting that, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't ask her for her number or her Instagram. I just overheard since I didn't think I was gonna have any more time. So I just grabbed her
Okay.
Instagram, followed. Then hopefully, I think everyone kind of like subsided from asking her questions.
Yeah.
We got to continue kind of talking.
JJ came out.
Yeah, she was a little tired. We went to the stairwells. We were still talking there. Funny enough, I think I was having something with my leg. So she was like, hey, you want to sit with me? And I was like, no, I just kind of want to stand. So she was like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't even want to sit next to me.
This guy doesn't get it. He's not
Yeah,
asking me for
so-
my number. He's not asking me for my Instagram. He's not sitting with me.
Yeah, you're sitting there like is he just like
Meanwhile,
not
he's
into
like
me?
stalking you and trying to like geo-track you on like Google Maps and Instagram, and
Google Maps.
it's so funny to hear the thoughts of what was actually
Yes,
going on.
I love that. The behind the
But-
scenes of what you're thinking
but
versus what
between
the
you
reality
guys,
is.
It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
transferring. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so then that's when you kind of come up out of nowhere, JJ. We're like, you come out and then you're like, hey, you guys know each other? We're like, yeah, we've been chatting. And you go, did you know Randward was one of our speakers 2 years, like a year prior at a conference? And then she looks at me and is like, you didn't tell me you speak. And I was like, but I was like, vice versa, you didn't tell me you sing.
Yeah, he's a man of many talents too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said, you're like, this is one of the most humble men I know. And then you just left. I was like, why did he even come out here? He came out here to say that and then like go back inside.
God told me inside, he's gonna go outside, find Randward, gas him up, and leave. And so I obeyed. I said, all right, your servant's listening, Lord. Here I am. And went out, did my job. So what happened? Because here we are a year later, and
Right.
Yeah.
We're married.
Yeah, so she wanted to take some pictures. So we took a couple pictures together and everything while her ride was on the way here. So we took pictures, perfect. And then her ride kind of came. And then I was like, oh, bye now and stuff. And then
He said, I didn't know that he had driven to the conference. So he had a car and it was freezing cold outside.
yeah, I took Uber.
Or you took an Uber, but you waited. Like
Yeah, I
that stood
waited.
out to me that he waited on my ride to come out in the cold with me and my
he's
friends.
a gentleman.
Yeah, and then the next, I think that night, I had posted some of the pictures from the conference, tagged him. He did not say anything. Didn't say, I was expecting a DM, like had a great time, nothing. Just silence. And then the next day, my friends and I went on a hike and still nothing. I'm checking my Instagram and then I'm just like, forget it. You know what? fine, maybe it was just for
funny.
that moment and he doesn't really have interest in me. And then that next night, still nothing. And then I was getting mad at this point.
Randward, what was going on, bro?
Dude, he was too obsessed. He was too. What was going on, man?
So at least from my end, so it all ended. I probably could have done better. I had a flight the next day morning. I had to fly back. So I was just, I had to go, took my flight. So yeah, I wanted to get to bed early. So I didn't text her that night. Next day, gonna go to the flight. It's an early flight.
Yeah, that
so
means
I'm
you're not
still
allowed
kinda,
to text anybody,
Yeah.
and your phone's broken.
Exactly. The TSA lost my phone for some reason.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, your cell phones don't work for 12 hours before and after the flights. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Exactly. So, but more, I was just kind of like speechless. I was like, I still couldn't, I couldn't bring myself to all this happen really. So, I just kind of flew back home. I'm telling everybody what happened though. So I'm just not texting her back.
Everyone except for her.
Yeah, everyone but her. Until kind of it was like New Year's, and then I was like, "Hey, Happy New Year's!"
Yeah.
And then
he hit me with a Happy New Year's after not saying anything for the whole day before.
Yeah. So then she read it, or I know because you know how you, on Instagram it
Yes,
says read.
you can see red.
Yeah, and then it takes like 3 hours for her to say New Year's. No, all she said was New Year's. Not even Happy New Year's, just New Year's. I was like, okay, I can tell little tensions coming here. So I started asking her about her hike, how it went, and then she was like, it was a really good hike and stuff. And I said, hey, can you send us the pictures, by the way? And then she sent me all the pictures from her and her hike, and I was like, I actually was talking about the pictures we took together, so I can make my Nashville kind of post. So then I had to say, I was like, oh no, I was talking like the pictures that, from Nashville's. And then,
You said to text them to you, and I said, I don't have your number.
well, wait, and so she sent them through Instagram. And for some reason, Instagram only sent me 1 out of 7 pictures. All the other ones were like black. And I said, the Lord is telling me we have to get off IG and we need to go
God
to
is
the
literally
phone.
sitting there like, this is driving me crazy. Enough of this nonsense. This guy, I don't know what I need to do.
I don't know how clear I can get than by making them not work on Instagram for and be like, hey, you got to text it to me. And she's like, I don't have your number. And I was like, well, here's my number.
Yeah.
And then, so then she like texts me. And then I was like, hey, just to let you know, you were my favorite part from Nashville.
You sent that to her?
Yeah. Like early on.
Finally. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think
Slow
that made up
clap.
for everything.
We all slow clap.
There
Randward.
we
Yes,
go,
yes.
Everyone in the car is like, thank goodness. Finally.
Yeah, there's hope, guys. It takes us a couple of days, but we get the hints.
Yeah.
So
And
This
he
is
said
also so
something-
good. I didn't even think we'd go into this many details, but it's such a good lesson just for everybody to like, hey, have a generous assumption. You just never know, because what the stories we create in our mind, I heard Brené Brown say this years ago, but like they're usually like 80 to 90% false. Like at least the story that we're creating exactly as it is, maybe parts of it are true, but it's usually pretty false. So it's really good, because this is what trips people up in dating, is having these thoughts in their mind, oh, they're not interested, and then writing them off, or like, having these preconceived ideas. These stories we're creating really mess up the dating process. You kind of just have to like sit and be open and not let yourself go down that downward spiral of overthinking it, because it really is. Thankfully for you guys, that did not happen. But in so many situations,
Amber's like,
that's
maybe
what
a
I
little
see.
bit,
Where I see like, even like the girl might be so annoyed, like this guy's not interested, or he has no follow through, and she might just like write him off right away. You know what I mean? And so. Yeah, and I know, and I want to hear a little bit about long distance, because also with long distance, that can happen too, because it's hard with communication and figuring that out. Randward being in Miami, you being in Colorado, Amber, and during the dating season. And so, yeah, I just want to take a pause, because that's a really big thing I see happen all the time in dating. It's like it kills it in the beginning, because we create these stories, then we live by them, and then we eliminate someone because of them. So, you guys, he sent that bomb text.
Yeah.
How did we transition into the date? we'll fast forward a little bit of the timeline. Like, we want to hear a little bit of the dating and the long distance. I want to hear how that went for you guys.
Okay, so he asked to FaceTime later that week, and we stayed on FaceTime till I think 2 a.m. my time, which was 4 a.m. his time, and it was a weeknight. So I think you had work the next morning.
No, I was good.
No?
Because, the official date one was on a Friday night.
But we FaceTime before that.
Oh, yeah, that was
right
2
before
hours.
that. He had work.
That wasn't
Okay,
2 hours.
anyway. My bad. The details. Anyway, so we ended up FaceTiming and then sending voice memos throughout the week and texting. And then it got to like, okay, do you want to come? Actually, I think you suggested coming to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, letting me know he was interested, vice versa. But then he said he didn't want to be in a relationship. What was that rule you had? Was it 90 days or something?
Yeah, I was trying to push the 90 days.
Yeah, that's
That
our
was-
rule, Amber.
yeah.
That's
Oh!
our rule.
That wasn't in there. You're prepared for love and spouse book,
No,
was
it
it?
wasn't.
It's
so
a
I
art
just
of
kinda-
dating rule.
That is so funny.
I mean,
Well,
it's not you have to
but if
stick
you've
by
never-
a rule, but it's a recommendation.
If you've never heard of it, I mean, the first time I heard of it was from Michael Todd. I was like, what? Like, friendship for 90 days?
Thank you. Yeah.
It's a wild rule if you've never heard of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I was trying to push the 90 days. We made it 60 days. So
That's
just
actually
clarifying.
great. I think 60 is a good minimum. There you go.
Yeah. So I did tell her, I was like, hey, I need to know that you can be my best friend before we can even start dating. So I wanted to know that we can get to that level of deepness. Because like, if you can't make it to my best friend, why would I even want to make start dating eventually? Because we only date to marry. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be dating for funds or anything like that. So yeah, the long distance, it was 2 hours difference.
Yeah.
It's,
It was rough.
it was
It
rough.
was
The time
rough.
change. Yeah, that's a big deal.
And then
Yeah.
with his work schedule, my work schedule, it was just hard to find time. But we would text each other throughout the day. He'd call on his break, and then
Yeah.
we'd talk at night. So we, learned how to make that work.
Yeah, I just want to sit there for just a second because there are so many people not open to long distance. We also did long distance in our story, and you guys can talk about the challenges of it. There are always going to be challenges in long distance dating, but the beauty of long distance, which I tell every person that is like, I'm not open to it, I'm like, it has a shelf life, okay? If you are going to be with this person, you're going to end up in the same place, and there's no more long distance, right? And then you're going to be together for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? Till you go to meet Jesus. And so it's a temporary sacrifice that's uncomfortable, that can be difficult, but long term, it's a really cool investment if you're willing to do it. But there's hiccups such as communication, finding time, and sometimes one of the two people has a very different way of communicating than the other person prefers. I see you making a face, so maybe you guys read into that. But the point is that ultimately you got to figure that out, but it's temporary. I mean, you guys, over a year later are now together in the same city, married, and so you made it through the hiccups. But it would have been so sad if you guys started talking, realizing you had all these awesome things in common, realized the values were there, and then we're like, oh, I just can't do it because distance is too inconvenient, So tell us a little bit about how you made it through some of those long distance hiccups.
A lot of gifts. That's how you make it. Well, I think one of the biggest tools you can use is understanding each other's love languages. So we kind of did a test. We know that she also taught me about the forgiveness languages, I believe.
Apology
languages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
those
so
are
good.
two big things you can actually utilize for when you're doing long distance.
So good.
So we try to make quality time. We try to have date nights at least every month to kind of keep it spark going.
The trips.
We did trips.
Yeah.
Lots of trips.
Yeah. Luckily, I was able to talk to my manager, and we kind of worked out a deal where I would get work 4 days straight, and then just kind of get a 4-day weekend, so I can go see her. So it kind of helped. So I was able to see her either every month or every other month.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it because we learned that just seeing each other really helped as well.
Yeah.
And how did the decision to who moves, how did that go? Because obviously the one thing that has to happen in long distance dating is one or both people have to be open to moving.
Yeah.
Was that clear from the get-go that, you know, Randward, if anyone's moving, it's me, and Amber was like, I'm staying put, or?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so before she even said anything, I think I'm pretty in tune with the Spirit. So after getting to know her, I saw how much she loves Colorado. She loves the mountain. I was from Miami. There is no mountains. I started just kind of like crossing the list. I was like, I don't think I have anything here going for her.
That she likes.
So it was a little bit of a mix of two, because then there's me living my whole life in Miami. So I was like, with my family. So I was like, this is an opportunity for growth as me if I just kind of got up and left. So one of the biggest things I think that kind of pushed it for me was I just started praying for God for like a confirmation or word. And then beautifully enough, one of our first dates was in Gardens of the Gods. So then I was like, okay, Garden of Eden. So I was like, Lord's kind of pushed me to Genesis. And then I asked her like to be my girlfriend on like February 23rd. So then I was like, okay, we're going to go there. And it says, the man shall leave his home, like his family, to be with his wife. And I was like,
Genesis 2:23.
Wow.
Yeah, so-
very
Wow, Genesis
Straight up, I was like-
2:23. I love it.
yeah. So I was like, I guess that's pretty clear to me that the verdict is going to be I'm leaving my family to be with my wife and start something new.
cool. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, it worked in ancient times. It still works today.
Yes.
It can be the other way around, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool because I mean, at some point, one's got to pick up and move.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you guys this because we say one thing for the right person, it's their sacrifice, but it's pretty easy to move for the right person. Did you feel that way, Rainward? At the end of the day, for the right person, it's worth moving.
I thought so. I thought that was 100% true. I thought for the right person, I was like, the Lord clearly put us together, and there was value that I was gonna bring to her, and she was gonna put in me, and you know, he was gonna do something wherever we decided to go, and he was gonna be with us. So
Yeah.
I 100% like God had my back, and I had nothing to worry about.
You know, I love that you're saying that because you did leave a lot, Randward. You left your family. And some people, you know, just to speak back into that long distance, they hold so tightly of like, I have to stay here close to my family. I have to. And family is a beautiful thing. But let's say, here's a real fact. Like, Randward, you could have met somebody in Miami, okay, and married them. And then that person you could have married may have gotten the most amazing job opportunity in California. And the Lord may have been calling her to California. And you may have ended up moving with her to California away from your family. So just because you meet someone in your city doesn't mean you're going to stay in that city for the rest of your life. And so I see a lot of people also being hung up of like, I can't move for my city. I can't move. And I'm like, but there's no guarantee that you will even be in your city for the rest of your life.
That's true.
There are so many different factors that could happen. And I'm not saying to discount how important family is if that is a big deal for you, but it's just there's no guarantee. And it's just another reason where I'm like, hey, you should be open. Just expand that reach just a little bit more and be open because there's no guarantee if you've met someone in your city that you're going to stay in the city. Like you never know what God has up his sleeve. You guys, this is so awesome. So, man, I want to know about just the last bit of details of your amazing story, engagement, how you guys are doing today. Like, how did that all come to be? And how did you guys know, like, oh man, this is definitely the person God has for me?
You want to take that?
Okay. So over the years, I journal and I keep words that I've gotten from people that they feel like, the Lord wants me to tell you this. And I had a couple of prophecies about my husband that I held very, very prayerfully and tightly as far as, oh, you don't fit this, then you're probably just wasting my time. And I'm really big on not wasting time because time is so valuable. There's so many things we all could be doing. And so one of the prophecies was that my husband was going to know that I was his wife before I knew, and he was going to walk in that confidence from the Lord. Another one was that we would be best friends and spiritual battle buddies. And I started to see that in our best friend, season there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that 90-day rule wasn't so bad, was it? Interesting.
It wasn't the worst. So yeah, I was praying about him and just other signs and confirmations too. Like when we had met, my best friend Jada and I were doing a 21 days of prayer and fasting, and I was like, okay, girl, I need you to be praying into this because I'm not starting off the year with just wasting my time.
Yeah.
The worst way to say it, but I didn't want to waste my time, and so or my heart or my emotions, and we were getting closer, and I was just like, okay, Lord, is this from you? I need to know. So more signs and things that he would say that only the Lord and I had talked about, and I just was kind of watchfully or prayerfully watching his behavior towards me and how he treated me. And then when he came out here, I was head over heels. Like, I was a mess. I was so nervous to pick him up from the airport. I was like, I can't feel my feet. I was on the phone with Jada and was like, I can't breathe. I'm so nervous. But it was amazing. I think that trip really confirmed that he was my forever person.
Yeah. And then I guess to talk a little bit on the engagement, I think it was a nice little test for me. So because for our engagement, well, she kind of told me the ring and everything. So I
didn't tell you the ring.
Well, like what you wanted. What specific?
Oh,
What
yeah,
specific
he
she wanted
picked
for
the ring on his own.
So she told me specifics of what she wanted in the ring, but I told her I kind of want to meet her in the middle because it's something I also want to like. I just didn't want to give her something she liked, but I didn't kind of like. So I kind of prayed to the Lord, and then I said, Lord, like, give me a sign. And he's like, well, you call her your dandelion. So I started search dandelion, and then I found this like vine style ring. So I was like, okay, it's very naturey. So then I kind of used the specifics she gave me with the vines, and then kind of put it together.
That's so cool.
And then I kind of contracted a picnicking in Colorado, and I was like, hey, I did my research. I want it to be on the Gardens of the God overlook. I got a photographer. So then
All from Miami.
All from Miami while I'm still working.
That's
and I'm working
nice.
and
Wow.
doing this. So it was kind of like a big test because it really showed people, they were like, wow, you put all this together when like some guys do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And like,
So true.
and then like a lot of people were impressed. They're like, wow, you really show this growth. You really show you're committed. One of the things I love from our trip is we were at the Gardens of the Gods, and this couple, we tasked them to take our pictures. And before they left, I said, hey, if you can give us one life advice, they said, do this as much as often. And then we kind of told them our story, and they're like, your story is exactly like ours, and we're married now. And I said, I looked at her and I was like, wow, I think this is going somewhere.
That's amazing. Oh, you guys, I love it. And was your wedding just amazing, beautiful? Like, was it just an awesome, gorgeous day?
Yes, it was very intimate. It was
Yeah.
my parents, his brothers. My parents had already planned to be in Orlando for Thanksgiving. So I went over there, and we said, well, we're all together. Why don't we just do it now? Because we were planning to get married this April, like have the ceremony and everything.
Yeah.
Then in November, we said, well, we want to start the new year off together with him moving here. So we got married, did the first month of marriage long distance.
Yeah.
Oh my
Which was
goodness.
super hard, but he moved over here December 30th. We drove back from Alabama together.
Yeah.
And
Let's
so,
go. Wow.
Oh.
I mean, I had my calendar date in April blocked out for the wedding, so I'm not upset or sad about the decision, but did want to throw that out there. But it does sound like it was hard for you guys too. So it was hard for all of us. I totally understand that decision. No, I'm so happy for you guys. That's awesome. I mean, at that point, once you're engaged, might as well just get that wedding done. And in a lot of ways, you can always celebrate it later too. So
Yeah.
I love how non-conventional weddings can be these days. And, I'll just be checking the mail for some kind of invite to some kind of celebration in the future.
yes, yes.
Stop. You're the worst. Guys, it's just been so awesome to hear parts of your story, your encouragement, where you were before in singleness, like how God led you in different ways. I can't get over the heart posture of like just surrender before you guys met at conference, just like going in like, hey, I'm just surrendered. Like, I'm not coming in here with an expectation. My expectation is just meet with the Lord, you know? And that is, I always say to singles, you know, this is the best place to be, is when you are surrendered like that. You know, everyone's like, you'll meet somebody when you least expect it. And, you know, you can roll your eyes at it all you want. But I do believe the best time when you're going to find somebody where it could actually be lasting is when you're fully surrendered to the process. And you don't have this expectation. You're not trying to force it to happen. You're not doing anything. You're just like, hey, I'm surrendered, and whatever you have for me, Lord, I'm just going to be open to it.
Yeah, but that combined with putting yourself in a situation where you can meet actually
Right,
new
exactly.
people,
If you're just sitting
you know?
home on your couch and you're not moving and you're like, I'm surrendered, bring him, Lord.
Yeah.
Well, okay, where is he going to be? Like, Oh, well, we love you guys so much. This has been awesome to hear your details. You're funny, babe. You're so funny.
Blessings to you guys and your new marriage. We love you too, and thanks so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're super happy. We're glad that we were on this episode. We got to share with you guys.
We can tell. We can see your smile from a mile away. So
That's the best.
love you guys.
The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kait and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring the show to you each week. I want to shout out Kelsey Napier, our Heart of Dating digital marketing coordinator, and Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. We couldn't do it without them. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much, because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.